So welcome to this information session for about the geophysics MSc at the University of Aberdeen. I am the program director of the MSc Geophysics, and I'm joined here with some colleagues from marketing as well. And I'm gonna give you an overview through a short presentation, an overview of the geophysics MSc at Aberdeen, and this will be followed by some time for questions, where I will stay here to answer the best I can any question you have on the MSc Geophysics, and possibly some of my colleagues from marketing and colleagues from admission might be able to also help out with some more specific question regarding this. So let's get started with the overview of the MSc. I'm going to share my screen just now. So welcome again. So the MSc Geophysics in Aberdeen, you're going to hear about what we do and what is the content and what is the future after this MSc. So I believe some of you joining here might have already an offer for the MSc Geophysics. Some might just be interested in it. So this is a presentation for everybody. So our MSc Geophysics in Aberdeen is actually celebrating its 10th year anniversary this year. It's been launched in 2014. It's a 12-month course on campus. It starts in September of every year. We've got a dedicated room for MSc students. So you've got a dedicated room for yourself the whole year, with high specification PCs for various type of modeling and processing work that is required as part of the MSc. So every student has its own PC for the whole duration of the year in that room. All courses, practicals and tutorial outside, those that are in the field outside, they're all happening in that home room. There are also some various visits, industry visits, and importantly, some field work. We have geophysical instruments. You see some photo of that. We've got a number of near-surface geophysical instrument, electromagnetics, seismics, GPR, magnetics, and we have a number of field courses throughout the year, residential field course where students will practice those instruments on various targets. And we are guided by a strong industrial board, where some colleagues from industry provide some inputs in the program and its evolution, and kind of provide also some support to various type of support to students and kind of advice on career and all the rest. So that is a bit of an overview, but some more details come later. So our program is taught by a number of people. So myself as program director, I'm involved in mostly in my expertise area is environmental geophysics and hydrogeophysics. So that's most of my involvement and expertise on those aspects, and also near surface geophysical acquisition. We've got expertise from seismologists. Dave Cornwell, Amy are experts in various application of seismic and seismology methods, natural hazard, resource, and so on. We've got an expert in computational geophysics and machine learning. So Dr. Iraklis Giannakis is mostly teaching on those aspects, including a lot of application on ground penetrating radar and planetary science, moon exploration in particular. We've got expertise in seismic interpretation and well logs. Rachel Brackenridge is covering those aspects in particular. Bartos is an expert in offshore geophysics, marine geophysics, so is teaching, is leading some teaching on those topics as well. And we have also some other contribution from various experts in the University of Aberdeen in mineral resource, in GIS, geographical information system, in kind of engineering applications, and so on. And as I just said earlier, we've got an industry advisory board made of several companies currently: Fugro, Shearwater, BP, Deltic Energy, CGG, TACA, and RSK are the current member, and they are important to kind of drive the evolution of the master, but also make a kind of a point of contact for many students through, for example, mentoring, through to help transition to their future career in geophysics. So we have a lot of you see on this logo a lot of partners, including industry partners that are involved in various aspects, various parts of the MSc, and I've got some example coming a bit later on when I dive more in the actual content of the MSc. So what do we teach in geophysics in Aberdeen? So we used to have a single pathways, the MSc Geophysics, until this year, and we've now launched a second pathway. So at the moment, starting from 2024, we have two pathways that overlap. So some of the modules you see are common and some of the modules are specific. The first pathway is the geophysics pathway. So this is really the traditional, very kind of pure, strong geophysics based course that is pretty similar to what we did in the past, and it's mostly directed to students with geology, physics background. Can be a bit broader than that. It leads to PhD research or a broad range of various industry with advanced geophysics activities. So that would be energy sector, construction, environmental, marine. So that's quite the broad part. And we have a second pathway which is starting just this year, which is the Energy Resources Geophysics, and as its name tells you, it's directed to students which are primarily interested in a career in the energy sector, and particularly energy industry or government. And from 2025, we are planning to launch another two pathways. So that's not going to happen this year yet, not in 2024, but in 2025. One of them is environmental sustainability geophysics, for more specific career in environmental and civil engineering, but also a planetary geophysics for which is more oriented towards planetary science and space industry. So this year, in 2024, in September, we have got the two first pathway overlapping each other, running together. This is their general structure here that you can see on the screen right now. Most of the modules are actually shared, so that's both the students in the geophysics and energy resource pathway are together in the same room. They have still the same homeroom. You see that the geophysics pathway both starts with a module that is shared with another master's course, which are run by colleagues in our school, the MSc in Integrated Petroleum Geology, which covers some advanced petrophysics and borehole geophysics. So that is happening in their homeroom. And then you'll have some module on near surface and environmental geophysics, time series, and inverse theory, which are both pathways are taught that at the same time in the same room. You got also earth physics that is specific to the geophysics pathway. So that's the first half session running from September to Christmas. In the second half session, same idea. So you've got in gray, those are the module of the mostly traditional geophysics module, and in yellow, you've got modules that are shared with, for those who take the energy resource pathway, those modules are shared with another master's course in the school, which is called MSc in Sustainable Energy Geosciences. So those doing the energy resource pathway will have their teaching shared with them, and those doing the geophysics pathway in the homeroom will do the gray module. So that includes for the geophysics, seismology, earth imaging, while energy resource will study geothermal energy and geothermal flow. Then we've got seismic reflection, acquisition, and processing that everybody's gonna be taught in the homeroom. Machine learning geophysics for the geophysics pathway, which at the same time will be taught subsurface storage and sequestration for the energy resource pathway. And then the last module is the field geophysical data acquisition and digital subsurface mapping, which is taught to everybody, both pathway. And you see that little star at the bottom right. Yes, this involves a geophysics field course, a residential field course that is part of this module. Is an example of what we do in the field. Some nice photo, sunny photo of Ireland. We've been going in Ireland for a few years, around April time. doing some near-surface geophysics using the kit we have at the University of Aberdeen. I told you we've got electrical resistivity tomography, we've got seismic acquisition method for refraction or reflection. We've got a ground penetrating radar, we've got passive magnetometers. What else? We've got self-polarization electrodes, we've got some differential GPS. All of that is put in practice on various geological targets. We used to go in Northern Ireland looking at kind of classic sandstone reservoirs, mapping dikes, mapping fractures in basement rocks, mapping hydrological pathways in glacial deposits, those sorts of things. This year, the field course is going to be in a different place, in Inverness, which is going to be more applied to geothermal kind of mapping of sedimentary deposits for geothermal applications. This is a week-long field course, residential, so we all stay together in usually in a hotel or a guest house with a dedicated room for processing data. So that's a good part of a very nice part of the year that students usually enjoy very much. So after this second half session, which terminates in around late April, early May, we've got the summer session. The summer session is dedicated to your individual dissertation projects. So each of MSc Geophysics student will choose and design with a supervisor, a mentor, a project, a 3-month project where they will work on a specific geophysics topic of their choice. So those are usually designed taking into account the student's interest. Specifically. So over the years, we had a broad range of topics that were covered on various scales that can span from seismicity in some parts of the world to deep geophysics, such as mantle transition beneath the British Isles that can cut through investigating fractures for geothermal application or mapping groundwater flow pathways for water resource application. Last year we had some seismic for wind applied to wind farms, inversion of various types of data, use of machine learning to interpret well logs. We've got also topics sometimes on planetary science, such as GPR on the moon or Mars investigations and so on. So a broad range of topics that are supervised by people usually in our school that have the expertise in that, but also some of our partners from industry can contribute to supervision. So some of the projects can be based or primarily directed or supervised by some of our industry collaborators. So this is designed around February, March time for a start in May. And right after the summer dissertation, there's another field course that is also very popular, and students come back with some really good experience. It's in the southwest of England, in Somerset. It's a course on borehole seismic, and it's completely outsourced. It's run by an industry consultancy company called Avalon Science, and you get there to, as you can see, our students with their yellow jersey practice and puts your hands on various type of borehole seismic probes and see a vibro truck walking in the field and collect the data and do some processing on those seismic borehole seismic data. And at the end of the trip, which is about 3-4 days field course, you get a little certificate that you got a course done in borehole seismic acquisition. So that's our structure. You can see there is obviously a lot of overlap between the two pathways. Most of the actual teaching, both pathway you'll be together that warrior on that home course, but some specific modules will be joined with other master's course, which is nice to meet also other students in different aspects of geosciences across the school. So something important that you probably already got through the previous slide is that all year round we've got a very tight connection with industry in particular. So we've got a number of guest lecture in almost every module. We've got guest lecture from industry by companies such as Baker Hughes, Fugro, RSK, BP. So you might know the name. We've got students around winter time. Usually there's opportunity to go and visit a sea vessel, a geophysics vessel. So last year it was one of the vessels from Fugro, and you can go get on the boat and see the various marine or subsea geophysical probes that they use. We visit the remote operation center of Fugro as well, where you can see how they operate various vessels around the world and in real time, some videos and data coming in. We've got a number of practicals that are focused on use of and training of industry standards geophysical software, such as GeoSoftware for borehole logs. So this is taught by people from GeoSoftware who come here as guest lecturer, and they teach you directly on their software. You've got seismic processing with Reveal, the software from Shearwater. They also come to train you on that. You've got practicals on ArcGIS, which is a very important geographical mapping tool, on Petrel, which is a very popular geophysical interpretation software as well. You've got industry recruitment training. So some colleagues from CGG come around to tell you what type of successful interview and recruitment process are, and they tell you about how to be successful in interviews and how to make a good application for job. We've got colleagues from industry who also come along our field courses, bring their own instruments, or just teach with their instruments. So RSK in particular they join us for the field course in Northern Ireland and in Inverness, Scotland. They bring some pieces of kit we don't have, such as electromagnetics, and their staff who are joining us for teaching you. I told you about Avalon Science, the borehole seismic course. We've got an industry mentoring scheme as well. Usually between December and February, every student is assigned an industry mentor, and you get to meet with them, usually virtually, every so often, once every 2 weeks for an hour. They get you usually it's an opportunity for you to ask questions from our industry partner about what is their daily job, what they normally do, and that they get you through that. It's a nice kind of exposure to what's the daily job of a geophysicist, and we have several partners, particularly those from our industry advisory board, give their time to do that, and it's a good experience. And obviously, most of our industry partners also contribute to summer project as mentoring. Some of them propose project for students to do, and primarily supervise students on their projects. So from time to time, usually every year, there are projects that are primarily supervised by some of our industry colleagues on specific industry problems. So who does the geophysics master after 10 years of running the program? We've had a broad range of background in different students who came in, and all of them went through very successfully. So we've got backgrounds in math, oceanography, engineering, physics, environmental science. Most of students have a background in geology and geophysics, so those are the largest proportion of our students in geophysics come from geology and geophysics. But there are every year we've got other backgrounds as well in these fields that you can see on the screen. And what are the career of these students who followed our MSc Geophysics? So we've got since 2014, 70 students graduated, and over 80% of them were employed within a year after they graduated, and many of them actually employed within weeks after their graduation. Most of them are going to industry. So that's the largest proportion of career are industry, but we've also got quite a large number of students that go to government, energy or natural resource, government job or environmental monitoring. There are quite a few who continue on PhD research in various aspects of various topics: seismology, geothermal, hydrogeophysics, space, weather, CCS. And we've got also some, usually quite a minority, kind of continue in either directly lectureship or so education or digital technologies. So those are slightly smaller proportions. So that was the overview. Another thing you're probably very interested in and very important is the funding. So our MSc Geophysics have a number of funding opportunities attached to it. So there are, for international students, the Aberdeen Global Scholarship, which you can find in our webpage, that can provide some funding support for the MSc. We've got 2 scholarships from the Data Lab, which are covering the tuition fees for home students, Scottish students. So if some of you are Scottish, I really encourage you just have a look and apply to that. We've got 2 Commonwealth scholarships as well, which cover tuition fees for Commonwealth students from Commonwealth countries. We've got a scholarship from RSK Geosciences, which here is covering tuition fees for home and UK students. So if you're from the UK, have a look and please apply. And we also have 2 scholarships from Neo Energy, a consultancy company in new geophysics topics. And again, this is a scholarship that home or UK student can apply to. And there are more information on the university website. There are another few more possible scholarships that you might be able to find there looking at that. Those ones are more specific to the MSc Geophysics, but there are some more broader ones that might apply to you depending on your background and citizenship. So I think I've gone through the most important information. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to see you here in Aberdeen. And meantime, this is time for questions. So if you have any question on any aspects of the MSc, please do ask your question now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, JC. Yeah, as mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to submit these. We were having slight issues with the Q&A button, but there is a post that's been created that you can submit under, and we've gotten some through already. So, JC, we've got a question. What is the difference between the MSc in Geophysics and the MSc in Integrated Petroleum Geoscience, and which is better?
There are major differences. So the MSc Geophysics is really focused on geophysics and geophysical tools and methods. So we are training students to be expert in the use of geophysical instruments. There are a lot of them. So geophysical instruments are instruments that use the physics around us to get information on the subsurface, shallow or deep, at various scales. So we train geophysicists, and those geophysicists can apply their skills to a lot of problems, including, energy resource, oil and gas, geothermal, water resource, or civil engineering problems in the shallow surface infrastructure, or this could be planetary exploration, this could be environmental monitoring, pollution, and so on. So there are a lot of applications of geophysics at various scales. The Integrated Petroleum Geology MSc is a program that is focused on petroleum exploration. And there is a bit of geophysics teaching in the MSc IPG, geophysics and petrophysics, but it's a small component. Most of what they do is geological interpretation or interpretation of geophysical data once they are processed and modeled. The MSc Geophysics is training students to be able to acquire, process, model and interpret the data. In IPG, they use geophysical data, they interpret it, apply to petroleum exploration. So obviously IPG is of interest for students that want to do their career in the petroleum oil and gas industry. Geophysics is a lot broader than that, and actually not a lot of our students continue in the oil and gas industry. Some do. Every year we do have some, but there is much more broader industry that our students go to. It's not the MSc Geophysics is not a petroleum program. It's a lot broader than that. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. There's quite a bit of interest as well following on from the comparison of those two programs with respect to the focus and potential careers going forward, and a lot of mention about some of the industry partners that you touched on. So someone has asked what if there's any kinds of jobs specifically the graduates of this program have gone on to do that you could mention.
Oh yes, I can. Yeah, there are lots. So I'm gonna just open one file that I have with me. So we had 70 students, as I say, who graduated over the past 10 years. So a lot, well, some work in geophysical industry, a company that do processing of geophysical data, such as seismic data, seismic reflection processing. Some work on on the interpretation of geophysical data. Again, various type of industry. There's a lot of students historically that worked on seismic data, seismic reflection in particular. But it's kind of diversifying a little bit more. There are students that continue working in more environmental consultancy. So in this type of job, they will usually work in a shallow surface, a lot of geophysical data acquisition in the field, interpretation to map various environmental problems like pollutions, or it could be civil engineering. So the last year one student ended up in a civil engineering company. She's doing a lot of ground penetrating radar to locate a different kind of infrastructure in cities, such as pipes or buried objects and related to civil engineering problems. So yeah, there are various type of jobs. Some are more as I say, more processing focused, so processing data that have been acquired by other geophysical data. So those are typically seismic, which is quite a complex business and job to process those data. So people can be quite specialized in that aspect. But there are some other company where the job cover the whole range of kind of geophysical field, from acquisition, so the collection of data in the field, processing, inversion, interpretation. So there are a lot of ranges and in a lot of companies. So the company, as I said, it's seismic interpretation, it's civil engineering, environmental consultancy. Those are the typical one. Offshore, increasingly, offshore studies such as wind farm and marine geophysics is one. It's a big market at the moment. Yeah, I think it will be the most common ones.
That's great, thank you. Speaking of seismic and touching on the field course that you mentioned, there's a couple of comments about that. Someone has asked, can both pathways within this MSc do the seismics field course? Just confirmation on that.
They do. So the field course are common for both pathways. So there are, as I said, there are two residential field course, one in springtime, around late April. This year it's going to be in Inverness, Scotland. So this is followed by the two pathways. And we've got another 3-4 days field course in August in Southwest England, the Avalon borehole seismic course. Both pathways are following. So all those field courses are followed by the two pathways. So both pathway 1, geophysics, and pathway 2, which is energy resource geophysics, they both do those field courses. Everybody does them.
Excellent, thank you. I have a question now more for admissions and funding. So Leslie, we'll go over to you. Somebody has asked where they can find more information about our tuition fees and any scholarships that are available.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, information about scholarships and tuition fees are available on the website. What I'll do is I think I'll try and put a link in the chat rather than me reading out any any kind of URL. So I'll pop that in just now, and I'll direct them to where they can find the tuition fees for both home and international students.
Brilliant. Cheers, Leslie. We've got another question come in. Is there any ongoing research in the advancement of geophysics for mineral exploration at the university? And then following that, will the application of geophysics to mineral exploration be taught in this program? JC, you're still on mute. If you can just unmute your mic.
So, sorry, I muted myself earlier. So yes, I just put the screen again for the two pathway structure, just relating to previous question about mineral exploration. So this is one of the topic we cover in some of the courses. This is the case with in near surface and environmental geophysics. We do cover mineral exploration, usually not too deep mineral exploration. In some of the field geophysical data acquisition, digital subsurface mapping, we cover some of this. We've got some of the experts I mentioned earlier in the presentation that contribute to the master are specialists and focus on their research on mineral exploration. They are tightly involved in the MSc, so there are some every so often when a student is interested in particularly in mineral exploration, they can design with them with those supervisor project, a dissertation project on mineral exploration. We've got links with mineral exploration companies in Scotland near Aberdeen. There's a company we've been in touch with recently. It's called Aberdeen Mineral. They are running some airborne geophysics not far from Aberdeen, and we have some link with them, and they're regularly looking for students to do summer project with them. So this is a topic that is covered as part of the MSc Geophysics. Now, to fully answer the question, if I understand completely, I'm not aware that there is a specific MSc program on mineral exploration. No, I don't think so in Aberdeen anyway. But we do cover a bit of that. The MSc Sustainable Energy Geosciences also do cover a bit of mineral exploration, especially the what we call those rare elements and critical minerals in particular. So I think they have one module in the MSc Sustainable Energy Geosciences, but they don't necessarily cover in much detail the geophysical exploration aspect of it. Remember, the MSc Geophysics is really about training you on geophysical exploration. So that's where we will cover that aspect.
That's great, thank you. So asking about, I suppose, research and projects, someone has asked, do we pick the topic for our project with our supervisor, or do we get a choice of some topics from the supervisor and then pick from those?
Thank you, both. So my answer is both. So we normally provide every year, you're gonna we potential supervisor that are interested in proposing a project. Could be because we are doing research in specific thing on specific project that are linked. We propose various projects, so there is usually 20 or so possible projects that are being offered, and there is also for students who are interested in some particular topics of geophysics, or sometimes it happens also that some students, their sponsor require them to do a project on a specific part of geophysics. So for example, last year there were students who their sponsor wanted them to do airborne electromagnetics exploration applied to geothermal, I think. So when there is like this, a particular topic the student is interested in or has to work on because it's a requirement of the sponsor. In this case, we work with them to design a project that does exactly that. So there is both. You will be provided with a list of possible topics that you can choose. If you are very open and you don't have any particular topic of interest, you might find, oh, I like this one on lunar moon exploration. I'd like to do that. Then you pick that. And if you have a specific particular interest throughout the year, you found, oh, I really like this aspect of geophysics, offshore exploration is really something I really interested in, and there's no project proposed on that. Can I find a project? And then we discuss with the various staff and the various expertise here and the various industry partner we have to design a project on that. So that's how we do that.
Brilliant. Thank you, JC. Somebody had asked about accommodation, but Leslie's already on top of it, sending through a link for accommodation that's available for international students. So just if anybody attending hasn't seen those links already, they are available in the Q&A column. Okay, so I don't see any other questions just now. We'll just give it another moment. If anybody does have any other questions, please feel free to send them through. Otherwise, we will wrap this up. So just give it another minute or two. All right, it doesn't look like we have anything else. If you do have any questions that you think of afterwards, we will be sending out a follow-up email, and there will be a contact address in there. So if you do have any questions that you think of, just keep an eye out for that email and we'll be able to answer any questions for you. JC, if you'd just like to sign off, say goodbye to everyone.
Thank you. Yes,
Over to you.
really appreciate you joining and asking questions on the MSc. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening, and really looking forward to see some of you in September or the year after. If you obviously have any particular question or follow-up question you'd like to ask, you can find my email address on the MSc web page. Feel free to send me an email or contact me in any way to ask some more clarification. Thank you, everyone.